I spent $600 on a plot in Entropia Universe. Was it worth it? Now you might be thinking, why would anyone in their right mind spend that much money on a feature that most players considered dead? Let's go back in time to the year 2015. This was when land plots were first introduced as one of Entropia's most ambitious ideas. Players could own land, grow crops, and take part in the farming system. MindArk had planned to expand the system to include more commercial uses, such as shops and community upgrades with the village life system. The problem is, those plans never really happened. The farming system slowly faded, and plots became one of those forgettable features that veteran players remembered, but nobody really cared about. Why did it die? That is something only MindArk truly knows. When I first discovered farming existed in Entropia, I was excited. It felt like all those years of playing farm simulators was about to pay off, until I discovered the ugly truth. When I looked closer at it, there didn't really seem to be much of a reason to own one. The main reward was a transgen fruit, and for years, that fruit was basically pointless. So what changed? Let me introduce you to the fishing and cooking system. This then revolutionized the plot system. Those two systems suddenly gave transgen fruit a purpose, and almost overnight, the plot system was on a revival. That is what led me to spend $600 on a plot to find out whether this forgotten system was finally worth using. Originally, the plots were tied to Calypso land deeds, or CLDs. The smallest plot started at 27 CLDs, although the price could then later drop to 9 CLDs. Once the plot had been claimed, that CLD then turned to CLDX. Now fast forward to 2023. The CLD system merged with the new share system in-game. Each CLD then became 100 CLDT. This is Calypso Land Deed Trusts. And players also received 1 plot token per CLD. Those with CLDX did not receive a plot token. However, for years, those plot tokens just gathered dust. Then, 3 years later, MindArk finally announced that they could be used to claim plots. This, interestingly enough, wasn't their original plan to honor that system, which personally, that would have been a massive red flag if they hadn't gone through with it. But even though they did honor the agreement, I don't think they handled it particularly well. The smallest plot now costs 60 plot tokens to claim, more than double the original price. Considering plots were originally intended as a reward for supporting Calypso, doubling the cost feels difficult to justify. Then came the part nobody warned me about, building the snug. And honestly, buying the plot was the easy part. Stage 1 wasn't too terrible. It cost just over 308 peds in TT value alone, but it did introduce me to the biggest problem with this entire system: the blueprints and material availability. I had to buy several blueprints just to get started, and then came the long grind for boards. Honestly, I didn't realize how many different kinds of boards I would need for this, and truth be told, I never want to see any of these boards ever again. The frustrating part with this, though, is that these specific boards don't come from harvesting trees. Instead, they drop from creatures, which raises a very important question. Since when did Hogolo and bristle hogs become trees? Stage 2 somehow got even worse. More blueprints, more waiting, more random hunting for boards. And then stage 3 arrived, which absolutely drained my pet guard. The materials list was brutal, the markup was ungodly high, and the drop rates for some of these boards felt even worse at times. By the end of it, I wasn't building a farming plot. I was fighting a long-running war against wooden boards. So after spending $600 on a plot, and maybe close to another $100 plus building the snug and the acorns, would I do it again? Honestly, probably not. At least not from scratch. If you are thinking about getting into plots, my advice is simple. Buy one that is already built, and by that I mean one that already has the snug and the acorns built. By doing this, you're saving yourself a mountain of grinding, blueprint hunting, and markup costs. In the next video, I'll finally get into the reason why I bought this plot, growing the transgen fruit, and finding out whether farming in 2026 is actually profitable. Let me know in the comments what you think about this system, and I'll see you in the next one.